Finding the right haircut for you can be a challenge and it can take a lifetime to find. But one of the easiest ways to try a new haircut and make sure it looks good on us is picking a haircut that suits your hair type. Every single head of hair has one of these 9 hair types, and finding the right haircut for your hair type is going to be the #1 starting place. And so today I am going to be giving you 5 haircuts to try if you have super straight 1A hair and 5 haircuts not to try. Let's see what haircut fits your hair. If you don't know me, hi, my name is Stella. I am a licensed professional hairstylist and I'm also an extreme hair lover, and I try every single haircut, color, and transformation on myself. So I have a tiny bit of experience when it comes to figuring out what haircut, color, and style fits different heads of hair. And today we're going to be focusing on 1A. This is super straight hair that is classified as hair that doesn't have any movement in it. There's no S's, there's no curls, there's no kinks in it. The hair simply grows out of the head fairly limply. It is also my hair type. I'm actually kind of a 1B. I have like very gentle movement, but a lot of these haircuts do tend to apply to me because my hair for the most part has very little movement. Because of this, every single one of the haircuts that I'm going to recommend to you takes into account the fact that the hair doesn't really move. These haircuts are also for those people who want to do little to no styling, because the reality is that you can wear any and every single haircut if you put in the time to style it. But if you're like me and for the most part you are a lazy person who doesn't want to spend an hour on their hair every day, getting the right haircut and having to do little to minimal work to it is going to be... So let's jump straight into it. Starting with the haircuts that you should try if you have 1A hair, the short bob. Starting with the best and the strongest, this is a haircut that I feel has become so popularized, especially in the last few years, and it is my personal favorite haircut, and that shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. The short bob tends to be one of the most stylish and elegant haircuts out there. It is sheer sophistication because the hair simply just falls and ends bluntly in one of the most elegant ways possible. The short bob can then be styled in a variety of different waves. You can give it a bump inwards, outwards, you can give it waves, you can even pair it with bangs, but the fact remains that this is one of the nicest haircuts. It is also one of the best haircuts if your hair is naturally straight, and that is because a bob looks best if the hair is styled straight or naturally straight. All of the hair in a bob tends to just fall downwards and all end at the exact same length. If the hair does have some movement in it, that movement would effectively distort the shape of the bob and give it a bit of a mismatched, unbalanced feel. If the hair doesn't have that much movement in it, this look is almost immediately perfected, and it is the perfect haircut for someone that has literally no movement in their hair but also doesn't want to do anything to their hair, meaning that the hair looks poised, elegant, and styled without realistically needing to do anything. For many years, this has been my go-to absolute favorite haircut, and it is the one that I'm currently waiting for my hair to grow into long enough so that I can get it once more. Haircut number 2. The Pixie. Hands down one of my favorite haircuts, and also the favorite haircut of many celebrities around 2012. The Pixie gets its name because of its really cute use of uncovering the ear and giving the person a very like pixie-esque hair. The cut at the back is usually quite short and close cropped, meanwhile the hair on top is left quite long and is usually kept quite straight. Anytime celebrities used to wear this in 2012, they also kind of paired it with a side part. The reality is that pixie cuts can look good with most any parts, and you can get quite creative with it, especially if you want to have fun with styling it. The best part, however, about having a pixie when your hair is completely straight is that realistically there's very little styling you need to do. The hair at the back, as I mentioned, is close cropped, meaning most likely, unless you're growing it out and it's actively getting distorted as you sleep, there's literally nothing that you need to do to the hair at the back. The hair on top then, because your hair is growing out straight, most likely will be able to fall into some sort of a very gentle, casual styling without needing to do anything. The one thing that you might experience is either gentle frizzing or else the hair might be sticking up, especially if you sleep in a certain way. However, literally the gentlest pomade and some heat from your hairdryer is going to immediately sort this out. If you have super thick hair or super curly hair, the Pixie can be a bit harder to deal with because it will want to grow outwards, and Pixies typically are nicest when they are styled kind of fit towards the head. But if you have 1A super straight hair with little to no movement, this might be a fun one for you if you want to try short hair. It's also super charming. Hairstyle number 3, micro bangs. This one isn't for everyone, I know it, you can already comment it down below. But micro bangs are a really fun thing and look exceptionally well if the hair is naturally straight. Because micro bangs have very little hair to them and they realistically can only be styled one way, the hair does need to be quite flat. If your hair isn't naturally straight and has even the slightest bit of volume, movement, or curl to it, the bang is going to puff up and outwards. And if your hair is thick enough, it's gonna go do a full 180 and grow upwards, and you're gonna have quite a large poof. So if you have naturally straight hair, this one could be something so fun if you want to play around with a look that is a bit more adventurous and a bit more fun instead of the typical bang. And you want to do something that is relatively easy and doesn't require a lot of maintenance. My one suggestion is all you need to do is just give it a gentle comb or detangling and then give it a quick spritz of spray. This is just gonna hold it in place, but for the most part, you can rock this and with that, combine it with any other haircut. The good thing about a micro bang is that it does tend to elevate any look if you do have the right look yourself. Haircut number 4, the one length cut. For all of you babies that do want to keep your hair longer, because so far we have been keeping it quite short, the one length cut might just be the one for you if you have super straight hair. This is genuinely one of the most traditional, standard, beautiful haircuts. It is just hair that all goes to a one length. It is the short bob, but unbobified and long. The good thing about this haircut is that if your hair is naturally straight, if it just falls like spaghetti, you can genuinely make use of that and put a very editorial look to your haircut, meaning that realistically, you can cut your hair in a V, in a straight line, you can give it an A-line bob, an asymmetrical bob, and for the most part, it'll always look beautifully styled. This one friend of mine who genuinely had this straightest hair, and anytime I saw her, I was like, you need to go for a one length cut because it is genuinely just going to give such a uniform finished cut. This is perfect if you are someone who is super low maintenance and you do not want to fuss with styling, with products, with pomade. You don't even ever want to touch anything to your hair except maybe a hairbrush. This haircut is perfect because you can tie it up into a ponytail, you can curl it, you can style it, or you can leave it down, give it a side part, give it a middle part, and you are done and dusted. It is a bit simple. It's not gonna be like, but it is low maintenance and it is perfect for your hair because all the hair just falls to it. And here's style number 5, face framing layers. I know what you're going to say. So far, we haven't tackled the concept of layering on super straight hair, and we are going to get into that. But lucky for you, one of the best haircuts that you can try if you want a bit of layering in your hair but don't want to commit or are going to listen to me about why layering might not be the best for you. Face framing layers, however, tend to look super stunning on straighter hair. Now, don't get me wrong, these still will require the tiniest bit of styling because face framing layers do tend to look good either styled all inwards or else blown outwards. But the good thing is it takes literally 2 seconds to do either with your hairdryer and brush or else with a straightener and comb. The reason why this is super amazing is that if the rest of your hair is paired quite straight, if you have like a one length cut or anything of the sort, this is just going to give a tiny bit of texture, a bit of playfulness, and it's going to elevate the hair a tiny bit. This has become super trendy, and if you pair it with something, let's say like curtain bangs or a micro bang or anything of the sort, it can do just the right amount to elevate your hair. Give it a go, let me know what you think of it. These are the 5 haircuts that I would personally recommend to you if your hair is super straight from someone with experience with super straight hair. These are tried, tested, and are low maintenance as heck and do not require a ton of styling from your part, especially if you're rushing in the mornings and you just want to be up and out. That being said, there are some haircuts that I would personally recommend you stay away from if you don't want to style it at all. If you want to put in the time to style it and do anything, or even if you have a perm, this doesn't apply and you can go for these no problem. But if you want to keep it low maintenance, these next 5 haircuts might be ones to avoid. Number 1, shag cuts or mullets. I tried the mullet, I tried the shag cut. The one thing that I've learned from any of the layered haircuts and any of the ones that I'm going to mention is that layers do like a bit of movement. They like a bit of volume. They look great on curls, but the sad thing is that when the hair is particularly straight, the hair just falls. And anytime I had my mullet and I didn't give it the tiniest bit of sea salt spray or a scrunch or anything, it just looked very, very misshapen because my hair genuinely just wanted to fall limp. Mullets are amazing because they've got this incredibly free-spirited, beachy, very, very rock and roll chic aesthetic and do look genuinely great if the hair has movement. But on straight hair, because our hair naturally just, it doesn't really look that good and it doesn't portray that same sense of creative freedom, of a free personality, of anything of the sort. Same with any sort of a shaggy haircut that looks better if it's frizzy, if it's a bit curly, if it looks like it's got salt spray in it, because that is what it was designed for. But when you consider the fact that hair genuinely just wants to flop, not the best option. Number 2, short layers. The reason I'm putting this on the list is because that is the exact haircut that I have underneath this wig. I'm growing out a buzz cut, and the one thing that I'm finding annoying a tiny bit is that stage between a pixie and the bob where you are left with awkward layering around your face. If I had curly hair, if I had a bit of movement, I'd be able to play it off and even give it a bit of a boyish, fun little look, bring all the hair front, give it a bit of a frazzled look. But the sad reality is that my hair just falls flat, and if you have 1A straight hair, yours is going to do the same. And the thing is that it's not always going to look as poised as you want it to look. The hair at the nape of my neck is also curling outward, giving me a very, like, in my opinion, fun, but ultimately a bit of a ducktail effect where it just kind of curls and bends. Straight hair, anytime it is cut and layered, normally does reveal the layering, and especially if you don't style it, you don't bump it inwards, you don't want to use any heat with it, might not be the best haircut for that type of hair. Number 3, the wispy fringe. I had a friend of mine who had the straightest hair, and she had a fringe because she had a cowlick, which is a natural solution to a cowlick. However, the sad thing is that if the hair is straight and the bangs genuinely don't curl the tiniest bit or even curl outwards the tiniest bit, it literally just looks like it's just stuck a bit to your forehead. It ends up being something that you constantly need to style day in, day out, and especially if it's a very thin fringe, meaning that there isn't any hair thicker from the back that is kind of weighing it down and giving it a straight style effect. This might not be the one for you, especially if you have an oilier forehead, because this is just gonna stick to you and it's not going to look the best. Graduated bobs. One of the most common haircuts that everyone in my village salon used to get when I used to work there. I can understand its appeal. I just don't like it. In general, I feel like when you have straight hair, having a straight bob is one of the classiest things, but when you pair it with a graduated bob, keep in mind, the hair doesn't naturally want to curl anywhere. It literally always just falls at 0 degrees, meaning that the hair will always just look a bit like it's got steps in it, like it's a bit unfinished. And anytime I had that exact haircut, I used to always feel the need to either spritz some salt spray into it and scrunch it and hope that that gives it something, or else constantly need to blow dry it or straighten it and make it bend inwards, because otherwise the haircut just did not work on that type of hair. In general, I have some opinions about the graduated bob as not being one of the most flattering haircuts, but a lot of women tend to like them. I'm just letting you know that it might not be the best for you. If you have straight hair, thin, thick, it tends to be a bit tricky. As I mentioned, literally any one of the haircuts that I just said can be worn if you are prepared to give some style into them and if you're willing to get the right products for them. Do not take this as me telling you don't do it because your haircut doesn't allow for it. The reality is that 1A hair, very straight hair, is still one of the most ideal hair types to have because you can mold it and bend it and push it any way you like. You can curl it, you can wave it, you can keep it straight, you can braid it. The thing is that it will just take a bit more maintenance and a bit more work from your part to get to the ideal state of the haircut if you're going for any one of these. The good thing about the first 5 that I mentioned is that for the most part, they require very little styling. The hair just wants to fall naturally, and every one of the haircuts I mentioned benefits from hair that just wants to free fall and let gravity do all the work. So if any of these kind of relate to you, maybe try that. But if you're like me and you're okay with a bit of high maintenance, and if you're fine with a bit of experimenting, by all means, try any haircut that I mentioned, or even any haircut out there. Just know that you might require a tiny bit more elbow grease to get it to the finished look. Regardless, I'm giving you all the encouragement to go out and try and experiment. You guys know that I love anyone who is willing to break some societal norms and try something new. So if you do try anything, feel free to tag me. I always love seeing anything that I recommend or anything that you feel you want to show me. If you want to see more of these, head over to my TikTok. I made an entire series about them, and you can see all the other hair types as well, because I do go into detail. If you have frizzy, curly, wavy, textured hair, it's all there as well. Let me know if you like this series here on YouTube. We might just make it a thing. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, join the Stellar fam. Let's learn a thing or two together. And as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll give it a go, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. I love you.